What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Today I wanted to talk about a topic that can get pretty heated in the JRPG community, and that is what makes an RPG a JRPG. Now, there's two schools of thought on this. One is that it's region-based, meaning that our JRPGs can only come from Japan, hence the J. The other school of thought is JRPGs are a style, meaning that anyone can make them regardless of the region of the developer. So think Astaria Ascending made by Artisan that is based in Canada. I want to tell you guys what I think about this and then start a conversation because I think this is a really interesting topic. So let's talk about it. Alright, so for me personally, I'll just get this out of the way up front. I think that JRPGs are a style and not so much a regional thing. And I'm gonna explain why I feel that way. So for me, and this is just my personal experience with JRPGs, ARPGs, regular RPGs, all that stuff. Just my personal experiences, nothing more. I was strictly a console gamer growing up. So I had Nintendo, Super Nintendo, PlayStation 2, all that stuff. So I was around for the golden era of JRPGs. And that was also an era of, if you said the word RPG, it was a Japanese RPG. Now that's not to say there weren't American RPGs, because there were. Ultimate existed at this time. I believe Fallout and Elder Scrolls did as well. They just lived on PC, and PC gaming wasn't really something, I'm not gonna say it wasn't prevalent, but for me, it was just something that just wasn't even an option. Up through the PS2 era, I would say, again, like the golden age of JRPGs, everything was coming out, everything was dope. Square was at the top of their game, Enix was at the top of their game. We had all kinds of other smaller players in the mix too, Namco with Tales of Destiny, all that stuff. I would say around PS3, Xbox 360 era is when the JRPG backlash started. And I think what really kicked it into high gear, I noticed, was Final Fantasy 13. Now, at this point, Final Fantasy was still pretty big, but when 13 launched, it was very poorly received here. Felt like at this point, JRPGs had grown stale. They weren't evolving. They were very much in a if it ain't broke, don't fix it kind of mode. And during this time, we got franchises like Mass Effect introduced. Elder Scrolls and Skyrim was released on 360 and PS3. We have Fallout 3, Fallout New Vegas. There were a lot of ARPG options that were refreshing to people. So especially like Skyrim and I think Mass Effect 2, they were game changers for people, game changers for RPG fans. And that's when the hard pivot from JRPGs happened in my experience. When there became this void for JRPGs, indie developers started stepping in. Now granted, you have to excuse me, I'm skipping some stuff here. Like the handheld revolution, I'll call it, PSP and Vita and DS became the meccas for JRPGs. The Dragon Quest series was re-released on DS, Chrono Trigger, Radiant Historia. We had the Final Fantasy Star Ocean re-releases on PSP, along with the Persona re-releases. Trials of Cold Steel on Vita, Trials in the Skies on PSP. Handhelds had amazing selections for JRPGs. But as far as consoles and PC went, not so much. In comes indie developers. And then from there, they just kind of picked up the torch and ran with it. We had Zyborg Games, they did Breath of Death 7. And they did Rain Slick Precipice of Darkness 3 and 4. Which those two I've played, and they are very based on Final Fantasy VI. And if you didn't tell me they were made by Americans, I would have told you that was a JRPG through and through. We had Ubisoft with their attempt at Child of Light. We had the South Park games. Those count in my eyes. And it's games like that that changed my opinion on this topic, because indie developers and American developers really stepped up and made games that truly felt like JRPGs. And the evolution of my thought is basically based on all of that. I saw that developers that weren't Japanese were making RPGs that felt like they were from Japan, and that it just made me realize that JRPGs are bigger than just Japan. They are global. Fans are all over the place. Fans are all over the world, and a lot of those fans have grown up to become developers, and they make the games that they fell in love with, and they fell in love with JRPGs. I just can't sit here and say that JRPGs only come from Japan anymore. I've played too many JRPGs that haven't been from Japan that feel like true JRPGs. And even if we have to call these games something else, as long as the J remains in the title, I'm okay with it, because the J is the inspiration and it's a sign of respect. So that's why I think it has to be there, but that's pretty much the way I feel about it. I kind of got rambly there at the end. I had a script, but then I just ended up going into my emotions. So I'm sorry about that, but I'm really passionate about this topic and I really love these games. So hopefully I was able to get my point across without getting too rambler or you guys getting too lost. But at the end of the day, like I said, I used to feel that JRPGs only came from Japan until I started playing ones that weren't. That's pretty much what happened. Anyway, guys, I appreciate y'all hanging out. I appreciate y'all listening. Hopefully I was able to get my point across for you. If not, if you have any questions, leave them in the comments. I'll be more than happy to answer them for you. And tell me how you guys feel. Do you think JRPGs only come from Japan? Do you think that they're a style that anyone can mimic? Or is it neither? What do you think? Let's talk about it. Thank you guys for watching. I appreciate your support. Peace.